Support WrestleTalk.
Look, hear me out. Dominik Mysterio wins Money in the Bank and he cashes in on Seth Rollins and he wins the World Heavyweight Championship. And he should be the first person to beat Seth.
Okay. That's the energy we're bringing to the show today.
I am Luke Owen, D.A.D. I'm joined by the Professor, the Truth, Dan Layton. Neither of us managed to capture the That Championship at the weekend.
I came this close.
Yep, as I said on the Night of Champions review, you're a gnat's dick away from winning the championship.
Really was. And the real champion didn't even beat me.
No, he didn't.
You know?
Did he? No.
So I'll come back. I'll see you again.
Coward that he may
I know.
be.
Coward.
But this is the WrestleTalk podcast review of Monday Night Raw. Please do press the subscribe button if you haven't already. We are on our way to 85,000 subscribers, which is when we're going to be doing our next subscriber goal achievement, which is to do another 10-hour live stream watching old wrestling matches.
I reckon you press fast forward on getting everyone to click that subscribe button so that we can do Money in the Bank. It would be such.
If we can get it done by July,
yeah,
it seems like a big ask, but if we can get, we're about like 8,000 off.
Yeah, not impossible.
If we can get done by July, that means we can watch nothing but Money in the Bank matches for 10 hours straight.
Are there enough to cover 10 hours, do you think?
Well, maybe then we'll watch all of them.
There you go.
So that sounds like a fun time, doesn't it? And if not, then maybe we'll watch the cash-ins as well.
Oh, lovely.
So subscribe if you haven't already. Please do press the thumbs up button on this video because it helps us in the algorithm. And leave a comment down below with what you thought of this episode of Monday Night Raw and whether or not you think Dominik Mysterio should win Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
More on that in a second. And if you're watching live, get in your UltraChat to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out all of them above the $5 amount. Now, Daniel.
Yeah.
I feel that...
Clearly you do. You've got a lot of feelings to get off your chest.
Well, no, okay, so I put this title up and I put this thumbnail up and someone left a comment being like, not a newsworthy episode of Raw then.
What was... I haven't even seen the thumbnail on the title yet.
It is, should Dominik Mysterio win Money in the Bank? With the thumbnail of next champ.
I mean.
So, and it wasn't really a newsworthy episode of Raw. There wasn't like a big talking points coming out of the show either. Outside of, some new women's tag champions, but that felt like a foregone conclusion more than anything else.
Absolutely that.
And I feel like, I said this in my edited review, all of the hotness that was coming out of the Saudi Arabian show, Night of Champions, was all the SmackDown stuff.
Yes.
It was like Asuka winning the Raw Women's Championship and the Bloodline.
I was so excited. Oh, great, we're going to have the Asuka on, and they're on the other show now.
Exactly, yeah. So, like, I feel like
Tempest and Sat.
so House of the Black Mask.
We've taken away Walter.
Yeah, the monkey's paw. Then.
Yeah.
So all I think the really exciting stuff is kind of happening over on SmackDown at the moment. So this was a very pedestrian episode of Raw.
Yeah.
It was like, here are some Money in the Bank qualifying matches. We've got some more of those next week. We've got some more coming in a couple of weeks' time. And look, Seth is your heavyweight champion. He's in a tag match. Let's show him off.
I'll be honest as well. Flying back from the Gulf to here was surprisingly long. Going all the way to Albany, New York is even longer. Yeah, like, it's a long flight, even though
13 hours, I believe
corporate jets and all that stuff, comfort and all that, it's still it's travel takes it out of you. So I don't blame them. And it's the first one after a show where we're now setting things up again. A lot of things were finished on the Raw side of things, so we begin anew.
Starting the new chapter. This is week 1. If you're playing my GM mode, this is week 6.
Laying out the chessboard.
You've just finished all your rivalries, and now you're on week 6. So we're starting out the new pieces. So I don't begrudge Raw for being a pedestrian show this week. It's just my point was more. There's some really hot things happening in WWE right now. They're just all on SmackDown
the show
currently.
Yeah.
But this episode, I felt was setting up some very interesting chess pieces. And then I thought back on it and I was like, I think they've actually been setting these chess pieces in motions for a little while. And that's Dominik Mysterio. He's had, 3 singles wins on TV in like the last 4 weeks or so. Beat Xavier Woods twice, then beat Apollo Crews. And then the opening segment of this episode of Raw was Seth Rollins came out to be like, hello, I'm the new World Heavyweight Champion, and I'm the visionary, I am the revolutionary, da-da-da-da-da. And out came AJ Styles. And AJ was like, hey, look, I know I'm a SmackDown guy now, brand split LOL, but I'm just here to shake your hand and say that you don't deserve this. And I went, boo, you earned this.
He fully Simon Cowelled it. I don't like it. I love it. Like, he really did.
Yeah. And the crowd went, hey, because he has earned this.
Yeah.
And this brought out Judgment Day. Balor and Priest and Dominik and Rhea came down to the ring. And they were like, hey, look, any one of us could win the World Heavyweight Championship from you. Anyone, like, that's how great the bloodline, how great the Judgment Day are as a group. Not only did we beat the Undisputed Tag Team Champions a couple of weeks ago, which is something that Roman Reigns couldn't do.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
The bloodline are imploding. So that means that we don't just run Raw. We run all of WWE. Hard to do when there's a brand split, but we certainly like.
It's not that hard when AJ Styles is on SmackDown.
So you know we're the most dominant faction in WWE.
Yeah.
And then it was like Damian Priest was like, yeah, I could definitely win the World Heavyweight Championship. And Finn Balor was like, yeah, I could definitely win the World Heavyweight Championship. Even Dominik Mysterio and the crowd were like, boo!
Yeah, classic Dom heat. Yeah,
but they set this idea up. You know, there's that little thing. What? But what if? Well, he's the joke option, surely. And then we got into the main event of the show, which was Seth tagging with AJ Styles, brand split LOL, to take on the Judgment Day. And they were like all night, which two members of the Judgment Days are going to be? Which two members of the team is it going to be? Who da-da-da. And it looked like it was going to be Damian Priest and Dominik Mysterio. But Dominik Mysterio was actually a ruse to allow Finn Balor to sneak through the back door and get an earlier tag. It was actually Balor and Priest that were doing the tagging. So Dominik's not in the match. Do you know what happens when Dominik's not in the match? Dominik doesn't lose.
Yep.
Dominik doesn't have to be pinned. Damian Priest instead was the person who was pinned. They protected him in that pin by Seth hit 2 stomps on him to get the win. You know, this guy that they're sort of pegging apparently according to Work Wrestling as a future main event.
Yep.
But Dominik, crucially, I don't think it's by accident that Dominik Mysterio was not in this match and therefore Dominik was not pinned. Because Worked Wrestling have also said that Dominik is apparently penciled in for Money in the Bank. They think that he's doing great work at the moment. I don't know. Like, I just felt like there was a lot on the show that was saying they're setting up that Dom could be the person, and if not to win, to be like one of those. Like, he's going to get those moments where he's at the top of the ladder and it looks like he's really going to win.
It's a really interesting suggestion. It's a really interesting point.
Thank you.
And I quite like it, and I'll tell you why. Because we talk a lot about the various kinds of heat you get as a wrestler. There was a prime example of go away heat on this show a little bit later on, but the heat Dom has is not like legitimately we hate you, Dominik Mysterio heat, so much as it is we really enjoy this character, but more specifically, we enjoy booing this character, and we enjoy being part of the crowd that boos this character. It's almost like a competition week in, week out, who can boo him the hardest, which I really like. When a character is that hot, you want to do something with it, right? And it's like when Stephanie McMahon won the Women's Championship back in 2000, she didn't earn it. She didn't deserve it. She wasn't defending it. We all knew it was hollow, but she would walk around like she did own the thing, right? She's like, I'm the women's champion. I worked hard for this kind of thing. Imagine Dominik Mysterio getting a little bit bumped around in the Money in the Bank ladder match, and then on Rhea Ripley's shoulders claims the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Rhea's key to that.
Yeah.
Like, Rhea being involved in the finish, I think it plays a huge part into their partnership.
And what's brilliant about that is you have Rhea, who the crowd genuinely quite loves, who is still playing full heel. Like, she's not even entertaining the notion of pandering or whatever like that. Yeah, and it works into this idea of people simping for Rhea Ripley. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That she still disdains everybody.
Yep.
And then you've got Dom, who everyone loves to boo, who is just playing his character to perfection. The in-ring stuff, is fine, is broadly fine. But the character work over this past year or so now, we're coming up on a year, has been so much fun. You want to give him a little bit of spice.
The other thing as well, like I don't think a lot of people do agree with me on this. I don't like 2 world championships. I like just the one final boss.
It's bearing fruit at the moment, but yes.
But that's the idea. Like, one of the benefits I would make an argument for 2 world titles is you can put it on a Dominik Mysterio. If you've just got the Blue Universal Championship, you can't give it to Dom and Dom can get the win. Like, it just seems like I would not have Dominik Mysterio pin Roman Reigns. In the same way that one of the problems we had with Austin Theory last year was like, well, Austin Theory is just not going to cash in successfully. Like, that's never going to happen because he's not the guy to do that with. Which is why they ended up just doing a little backdoor option of him cashing in on Seth for the US title instead. But now you've got 2 world titles. You can put it on Dom in the same way that you can put it on Jack Swagger, or you can put it on CM Punk when CM Punk was not their main event guy. Yeah, it was like, you can do this because you don't have to run bigger risks of taking down your top guy who's like your top merch seller and this and the other with, you know, this a risky idea. Kind of like during the pandemic when New Japan were like, oh, we don't know what to do. Put the belt on Evil and we'll figure it out after that. And I was like, oh, I don't think that was the right choice. But they were like, well, there's no fans in attendance anyway.
Just
we
figure it out.
We might as well take the risk on it. With 2 world titles, you can totally have Dominik Mysterio cash in on Seth Rollins and win the World Heavyweight Championship.
And imagine the heat from it as well. Imagine the sort of shock. When the Miz did it on Randy Orton, you had that Miz girl who remains iconic kind of thing.
Yeah.
You'd get a crowd reaction from it. It's worth noting that they did say on this show that you can cash in this belt for any championship.
They've set that up now, surely, with the Seth cash in. But yeah, good.
But also with it was Gunther. But on top of that, I then went back and we just this lunchtime just watched the CM Punk victory in WrestleMania 25, and it says there any world championship as well, and that's because you had 3 brands with any championship, and I thought that wording was interesting. That even back then it was any championship.
Yeah.
So having established 100p, this is for any championship. Dominik Mysterio. Imagine this as a worldview, right? Dominik Mysterio holding the Money in the Bank, teasing cashing in on world champions the whole time, acting like he could be the one to defeat Roman Reigns, and then in the end just pipping Gunther. Do you know what I mean? Would be kind of interesting.
Gunther's a fun shout as well. Yeah. I think if you want to do this, go full out for it, because the other thing with Dominik you've then got is he's the world champion. And Rhea's the SmackDown Women's Champion. You've then got, and you know, Triple H and Shawn Michaels love to play up on things that they did in the past.
Right.
And you can have Dom as the hunter of the group, Rhea as the Stephanie, the power couple.
It's the other. It's Rhea as hunter and Dom as Stephanie.
But you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
you know,
I do.
Yeah. So
it
like,
works.
You know, the man is the world champion and the female is the women's champion. Is the power couple of WWE running this show with all of their plates of hummus and everything.
And this is the joy with Money in the Bank is it's not something that has to happen right away. So you can continue to sort of play with the idea and flesh out what you might want to do if you do want to go down that road at some point in the future. It's not a million miles away from a good idea. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
look, I've got 2 options. My 2 big brain plans for Money in the Bank this year is Dominik Mysterio for all the arguments that I've just laid out there, which going by the live chat is not going down well, or it's Logan Paul.
Wow.
Because Logan, I was saying this at the Night of Champions party when you know, people were asking me like, who do you think could win Money in the Bank? And I was like, Logan Paul. And then someone I was chatting to was like, I mean, the great thing about that is that every podcast that he does, he'll have the Money in the Bank briefcase behind him, which I hadn't even thought of, because my big pitch was going to be, he's never there.
He's never there.
So when he is there, like when his music hits and he comes out, it then becomes a really big deal that Logan Paul has shown up with that Money in the Bank briefcase, and what does that mean he's going to do with it? And I think that, and then, again, because you've got 2 world titles, you may as well put it on Logan Paul. It doesn't harm anyone. And then he's got the world title behind him on all of his podcasts as well.
What's interesting about that idea as well is that Money in the Bank as a...
That's worse! That's left.
Tonight's episode of the show is give us your best bad ideas. No, the interesting thing about Money in the Bank is that it's a thing that we all love and we all like the idea of the cash in. But we were having conversations again upstairs because this is what you do when you do a wrestling themed entertainment company, as we have. You talk
a lot about wrestling.
You talk a lot about wrestling, and you plan. Okay, so this is the month that we want to talk a lot about Money in the Bank. Let's come up with ideas and what things we can talk about. And you come to realize that Money in the Bank is such an up and down thing. It's either an amazing cash in, awful run. It's a weird winner. It's sets up Edge for the rest of his career.
I think there are more downs in Money in the Bank than there have been ups. If we're Simon Millering this,
and if you especially look at the past couple of years, the women's one kind of is irrelevant, which is unfortunate because they just get it and they cash it in the same night, and that's the thing that's happened again and again and again with the women's one. With the men's one, it's like Big E, amazing winner, amazing cash in, does nothing with the title run, or
just gives it back to Brock.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, you know, Baron Corbin's run, or whatever.
Because he just has it and then just loses it. Jinder Mahal's only clean victory.
Exactly. Austin Theory, who,
Braun
no
Strowman.
one believes in, and then suddenly cashes it in on a secondary championship and loses.
Braun Strowman cashed it in for a match with Roman Reigns that ended in a DQ.
Yeah. So you got to think about what is it that makes Money in the Bank special? What is it that makes us care about the idea of Money in the Bank? And it is that element of surprise. And if you do put Money in the Bank on someone who's not there very often, but is a smarmy git and everyone kind of hates, it's that moment of Logan Paul's music hits and he runs down to the ring, you're going to get a reaction. And it shows the power of that briefcase. Now, I don't want the World Heavyweight Championship to be secondary. It unfortunately feels like it is so at the moment.
I hate to say I told you so, as Weezer once famously said.
And I hold my hands up. I'm an optimist. I'm a perennial optimist. I always will be. We let it play out. It has played out. At the moment, it feels secondary, which wasn't helped on this show by him not really making a deal out of being the world champion. Not like being like, I'm going to take on all comers who wants to challenge me, whatever. Or even setting up a potential actual definite, you are challenging me at Money in the Bank kind of person. So you could do a lot worse than having Logan Paul be, but it is that same thing of, because it's not Roman, you're still kind of vulnerable, Yeah. The question of who defeats Seth is not as important or crucial as the question who defeats Roman.
That's a very good point. I mean, someone just pointed out in the chats there, it does kind of, like, they would make the argument that it does hurt the world title, because then that's 2 of the 3 world titles that aren't on the show all the time.
Yes, no,
which I had not considered, so that's a really good point, well made. Which is why I think then Dom is probably my preferred of the 2 options that I am pitching here.
I still want Cody, but I don't see that going down at the moment.
Yeah, I
want Cody because I want the title on Cody soon.
Maybe we'll come on to this a bit later in the show when we talk about his promo. I get the impression Cody's not in Money in the Bank.
Unless because Brock isn't going to be at Money in the Bank, we have to have something for Cody to do, but he's still selling that broken arm. And do you compete in Money in the Bank with a broken arm?
Well, not only that, but his promo was very much like, by the way, my next match is...
Yeah, didn't even mention
Money in the Bank. Exactly, yeah. Whereas, Matt Riddle, who's got his qualifier in a couple of weeks, did say, I have got a qualifying match in a couple of weeks. Like, Cody never mentioned that he's got one. That's not to say that he won't.
Yeah. It just wasn't the focus of what
it wasn't the focus, about. But we'll talk about that maybe when we get to it. I think Mod Mother is with us today. So Mod Mother, if you can hear us, I'm just going to get a little taste of the audience.
I can't wait to see this.
Would you like to see Dominik Mysterio win Money in the Bank?
I can't wait to see how this turns out.
And I also want to say as well, when I say win Money in the Bank, and in doing so, also wins the world title.
Interesting. I do think that the next cash-in has to be a particularly powerful cash-in. As in a victory.
We need one, I think, actually, yeah. Let's get into your Ultra Chats on this topic. Please do get them into WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out all of them above the $5 amount. Usually we have our nice little tablets in front of us, but we realized that we left them at the venue.
We did.
From the party on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to collect those until Thursday.
Right.
So they're back for the Dynamite review.
Oh, great.
But up for now,
I'm just going to listen. I mean, audiobook version.
We're going to have to just look over this way to my laptop. And I'm just going to make this a bit bigger.
While you do that, it was a great night, the Night of Champions party. Thank you for everyone who joined us. What a weekend of wrestling.
Wasn't it just?
Yeah. I haven't even seen Battleground yet.
Yet neither have I.
I'm so excited.
Having said that, because I was doing DAD duties yesterday because my wife was working. I haven't seen Double or Nothing yet either.
I mean, I did my review yesterday, but it's for me, it's a show that sort of starts kind of dry and then becomes a show that's pretty incredible, which is great. Yeah. It
was funny listening to reviews from the show. So I listened to Fightful's review and I listened to your and Ollie's review, and listening to fan feedback. It was like, this show had 2 bad matches, worst show of the year. And
which
I was
is so interesting.
I was like, that's such a weird way to look at this.
And I think the thing with Double or Nothing is that fatal 4-way world title match, which had a build that was kind of rubbish, unsurprisingly, was a match of the year candidate. It was so good. So you have to sort of seek it out. And I love how much I want to tell people about the weekend's wrestling. How much I want to tell people about the reaction that we all had when Asuka won, or how cool that moment of the mist was, or how Ali being folded around the ring post, or the way Jimmy did that super kick. I mean, people can literally see my reactions to I love you being in that crowd.
I was like, I want to be.
Because I didn't. I was doing the stream, so you were behind me. I didn't even see, but you're like, and what was it like in the crowd?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Particularly that first super kick moment. But when Sammy hit the haluva kick and pinned, people were legit like jumping up and down and hugging.
It was unreal.
It was unreal.
Yeah.
It was such a good time.
Yeah, and can't wait to do it all again.
Yeah, and we will be. More details on that shortly. But Ben Vlerick kicks things off here to say, you know what? If Dom wins Money in the Bank and cashes it in on Rollins, whoever else is the World Heavyweight Champion, sure, why not? However, if it's Roman Reigns, yeah, that's a big fat no for me. But hey, with a second world title, you could do it. Still, I'm going to need it to be, LA Knight. I swear to God, if he loses his qualifying match against Ford, I will start a goddamn riot. How charismatic, how over do you have to be before WWE takes notice? Just do something, anything with him already. On a second note, wouldn't it be problematic if a joke character like Dominik, we're all aware it's a joke that's gone too far, wins a new world title which desperately needs to be taken seriously and properly established? It might tarnish its future legacy.
I don't think it's a joke that's gone too far. I do agree about LA Knight, and I think it's a shame that Ford and Knight cancel each other out. Like, one of them is not going to be in the match. I think the match will suffer as a result of that. But I think that I like the idea of LA Knight winning it because I'm high on LA Knight like everybody else. I don't think Dom is a joke gone too far. I think it's a joke that's a joke, or not even I don't even know if joke is the right word.
No, if anything, I think it's
a shtick.
But I think it's reached the right level.
Yes, exactly. I think it's exactly where it's supposed to be. It's his bit. It's his character work.
Because I think if the joke had gone too far, people would be tired of it, and people would be like, and I don't think the booing that
that's what
Dom
it's about.
gets,
Go away heat that we do get later.
That's exactly it. Like, I don't think the Dom heat that he gets is go away heat. It's enjoyable.
I'm buying into this heat.
It's MJF heat.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same sort of heat that MJF gets, which is like, I just love to hate you.
To be clear, I don't think Dom is as good as
MJF.
No. Just before anyone in the chat starts misunderstanding what we're saying.
Stevie Howlin here says, Rhea with the reverse James Ellsworth to win Money in the Bank for Dominik Mysterio.
That's so funny.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
Well, but again, that's like the thing. We're all sitting here being like, man, we've had a really a rough run of years with Money in the Bank. We need to have a good sensible win. And here we are being like, Rhea Ripley should win it for Dominik Mysterio.
But it's not even so much the winner itself. It's what you do with the winner. Austin Theories didn't work, So if you do it right, if you tell a good story with it, it's fine.
So I'm just there's a one coming up that really made me laugh. But we've unfortunately, Streamlabs has lost a username, so please do let our moderators know. Who says Luke is right about someone in Judgment Day winning, but he's picked the wrong one. Put Dom in Money in the Bank and have Rhea pull down the briefcase like Ellsworth did for Mella, but then reveal it's technically her name on the contract and she beats Seth Rollins. Don't hate that either. But this is from Kean Harvey. This is the one that made me laugh. I'm going to Money in the Bank for my first wrestling pay-per-view. Do you think I'll get kicked out if I bring a sign that says Dominik is a briefcase wanker?
I love that. Maybe they just don't know. They're an American company. That's quite funny. Dominik is a briefcase wanker. Let's put it on a t-shirt right now. Right this second.
Yeah, I mean, I love that.
I love that.
Ooh, briefcase. Mr. Toff 2 says, hey guys, what if Dom wins Money in the Bank, but then Rhea, much further down the line, forces/coerces him to give her the briefcase, or gives it to Dominik and Finn, and this causes friction inside the Judgment Day, and finally, Dom sees them for what they really are.
Nah, I want Dom to continue. I don't want Judgment Day to go anywhere just yet. I think a Dominik Mysterio face turn is the last thing anybody needs right now.
Yeah, I think I agree with on that one.
Yeah.
The Tribal Champ says, two-time UltraChatter here. If they wanted to turn someone face with Money in the Bank, example LA Knight, they could do Logan versus Seth too and have Logan win the world title, then Money in the Bank cash in straight after.
You wanted someone to...
Oh, right. So LA Knight wins Money in the Bank.
Logan Paul
wins the world title,
and
then LA Knight immediately
takes it off him.
Yeah.
That's not a bad shout. You get a good oh no, this is the worst case scenario pop. And then the Money in the Bank is used to get the world.
That's a really good shout, yeah, because if everyone's like, oh my god, Logan Paul is the champion, and then
yeah,
because you're like, the savior has arrived,
and then you get shots of the person holding that belt aloft with an entire arena losing their mind to set up the belt as something worth it.
That's your Dolph level pop, possibly.
There you go.
Right, let's get into the rest of Monday Night Raw and see what else happened or didn't happen on this show. So we had the opening segment that we talked about with Rollins, AJ, and Judgment Day. And Adam Pearce was then backstage on the phone to someone.
Yes.
Like, I need to try and make this official, but he's a SmackDown guy.
He said, I know we're trying to make this brand split happen, which was hilarious. Like,
because you're not.
Because where? But I don't hate the idea of him having someone higher up who's kind of getting a bit mad about how this is going down. I would like it to be Triple H and not Vince. Like, I'd like Triple H to come in and be like, we need new people taking actual charge of this show, because I like an authority figure. But I was intrigued by that as a little story, because they never usually show him getting people's permission or talking. Other than that one time they had someone talk to him on the phone a couple of weeks ago about Cody, and Triple H showed up.
Yeah, I feel like, are we setting up a mysterious figure?
An anonymous Raw general manager.
Like, is there someone who is actually in charge of WWE? Like, are we so? I don't know. I'm posing the question.
Well, Triple H is referred to as the COO every time he comes out on screen. He's the on-screen.
So is he on the phone to Trips? I would have thought if he was, they would have just said he's on the phone to Hunter.
Unless it's more of a. I mean, this is rare for WWE, but to have something implied, because. Logically, Adam Pearce was on the phone last week to someone, said Cody needs talking to, who shows up? Triple H. I wonder if it is a Triple H is the one who's, overseeing everything, is in charge of everything. Adam Pearce is the official, and he's, struggling to, and he's not pleased with him. I don't know. It was just an interesting thing that they made a point of doing it.
We had our first Money in the Bank qualifier, which was Ricochet versus The Miz. I actually thought it was a very smart move to put The Miz in the first qualifying match here, because the theory, I imagine, is this is the first show after a pay-per-view, which means you tend to get a lot more new eyes on the product. So with Miz in there,
because he's a star,
you can tell the story of he has won Money in the Bank before and cashed it in, and in doing so got to headline WrestleMania. And
also he's done it twice.
They didn't talk about the second time,
but he's cashed it in twice successfully.
He has, but the point was, they just told that first one because that's a good.
That's the dream scenario.
It's a dream scenario to tell. So I actually thought it was very smart to put the Miz in there. Miz also had one of my favorite moments on this whole show, which is that he did a springboard and got a 2 count off of it, and then shouted, "I did a springboard."
Yeah, it was great. I thought he was doing it because it was.
I springboarded.
It was that like his 2 count wasn't good enough, and he's like, "But I springboarded." Isn't that how you win stuff? Can I just talk about my influence on this podcast, because that's twice now. Roll the clip, share the footage that Luke Owen has put The Miz over as a good thing.
Okay, well I'm about not to. I actually wonder.
Luke DAD giveth, DAD taken away.
But I do wonder if this is a bit of a character thing for Miz, because he also did a Hurricane Rana.
I loved
in this match. So he did a Hurricane Rana and he did a springboard crossbody. And his reaction of like, "But I springboarded," makes it seem like, oh, I'm trying to do the thing that all the flashy wrestlers do, but that's not getting me wins either. So do I need to change up the way that I'm doing things? I don't know if it's like a little subtle character thing, but I kind of like the idea that it is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I thought about it, both his Hurricane Rana and his springboard. Only The Miz can do those moves and make them look soft. Like Hurricane Rana,
didn't look soft.
Hurricane Rana was soft as shite.
It was.
He did this crossbody that was effectively a pillow landing on Ricochet.
Would it kill you to just leave the compliment for The Miz this one time?
It's just, but I appreciate that The Miz is the king of soft style. Like, I just don't think, like, he's the only wrestler in the world who could do these moves and make them look soft.
I love him. I love him so much, and I like this as a character, and I like that he's trying new things. Good for you, Miz. Keep going.
It's like rice pudding. It's just this soft mass, just absolutely hilarious. But Ricochet got the win,
which is the right choice.
Yes, absolutely is the right choice, because he can go in there, be the human highlight reel in the match.
And Kevin Patrick just no-sold that shooting star press, by the way. Like, he just like,
no,
yeah,
Kevin Patrick.
I know, but it happened, and there was no reaction of like, he's going for the cover, or like, whoa, well, like, look at the air he got on that. Just and he got the 3 count. Kevin.
Come on, Kevin. You basically missed the Kinshasa at the end of the...
He did, yeah.
He was like, oh, I just with a kick there. It says, finish, you dolt.
KP nonsense.
Up next, we had a video recap of Zoe Stark attacking Becky Lynch at Night of Champions. And then... This was a rough segment.
Oh.
Well, Trish did this promo.
I liked the segment.
And it wasn't a particularly great promo, not helped by the fact that it was piped in crowd noise that wasn't leveled out with what Trish was saying. And because she was not reacting she wasn't reacting to the piped in crowd noise, and you could see people were actively sitting on their hands during this. I don't think this needed piped in crowd noise. And it was just it works because a You People promo from Trish Stratus works because like a lot of her character is. But then Zoe Stark comes out and she's just like, I made a statement. And I'm just like, this is just Control-C, Control-V from every other debut promo we've had here. Then Becky came out and they brawled and they laid her out and put a t-shirt on her that said, thank you, Trish. And I think that this was not the hot angle to follow up from Night of Champions with, because I thought the stuff at Night of Champions was excellent. I loved the Zoe Stark appearance. I love Zoe Stark costing Becky the match. I don't think this was the hot follow-up angle that it needed.
I know what you're saying, and I do agree. I think that the promos themselves were a little bit wobbly. But when Becky came out, I think I had a moment where I was like, God, Becky's cool, right?
She's so cool.
She's giving it this thing at the moment where she's not even like playing it up to anything. She's just sort of staring at you like, I'm gonna deck you, I'm gonna really take you out. And then when she does get into the ring, I actually thought the brawl segment was pretty great, and I think that it looked a little bit stiff here and there, which gave it sold it extra. There was the bit where it's like, let's put this t-shirt on her. And she's like, well, actually sit her up, and then Becky starts to fight back, and she gives her a proper, and I'm gonna show you. I do see what you're saying, and I'm inclined to agree. I think Zoe Stark is going to benefit so much from not only having Trish as a mentor,
absolutely,
but also working in a program with Becky, who is so good at doing a promo, getting that time backstage to work on segments together. If you want to push Zoe Stark and you want to have her develop, and I'm high on Zoe Stark, I say this every single week. I think it's going to be a really good run for her. Perhaps the way to do it is have Becky cut a promo and have them come out and attack her and say nothing. But then you don't get time on the mic to learn what does and doesn't work, and you don't get that video footage to look back on and go, I can fix that. I can go. You learn by doing. So I was quite into this segment, and I liked that final visual of Becky sort of battered, holding a t-shirt that said "Thank you, Trish." I thought that was cool.
I like the idea in principle.
Yeah.
As I said, I just don't think it was the hottest follow-up angle. Maybe it was just the promo work that maybe sort of left me a bit cold on it, because it was just like, particularly Zoe Stark's was just the generic. I came to Raw and I made a statement.
And there was a couple of stumbles here and there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think Trish had a couple of stumbles now as well. And the piped in crowd noise was proper doing my head in. I did hear a pitch though that I really like. We've been talking about Lita coming back to be the tag partner for Becky. I had a better pitch. Mickie James.
Why?
The history between Mickie and Trish?
Yeah, but Lita's got current open-ended history.
Yeah, but I'd much rather see Mickie go in
there.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong.
I think Mickie would do a better match.
I would love to see it, but I don't want us to forget Lita at any stage. I can't. I physically can't.
I feel like we already have, though.
No, I'd never forget Lita. But also the idea of, like, let's say Zoe Stark was the one to take out Lita. Like, this has been in the works.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I like that.
I can't take full credit for that. I did hear that somewhere else. But I as an idea of it, I think Lita's got a lot to do. I'll never say no to a Mickie James run. Don't get me wrong. But yeah.
Indus Sher beat the lads
in
a heatless squash.
I like a squash match. When I care about the people, I'd like to care about these people more.
Yeah. We're given no reason to care about them either. And that's actually not... I don't think that's anything that WWE have done wrong, because they've had 2 squash matches now. They got a video package last week with a promo from...
I don't even think necessarily it's anything that they're doing wrong. I actually think...
I just don't think this works.
No, I don't know, but I can't tell why.
No. Well, I think I've said this on a podcast previously. You could probably count on one hand the amount of times just doing squash matches has gotten someone over in the last 10, 15 years.
You need then a match where they have a moment.
Braun is one of them.
Yeah.
Braun got over in doing squash matches. Ryback got over in doing squash matches. But there's a bunch of guys that they've done this. Veer didn't get over. Amos didn't get over. Indus Sher, which is funny enough, it's got Veer in it, isn't getting over. Bronson wasn't getting over. They've had to put Bronson into other stuff that actually is now starting to get him over.
Because you want to, I think you want to see a little bit of character
Viking
work,
Raiders
and you want to see a little bit of
over.
work in there, like how their tag team works and what their moves are like, what they have to bring to what is becoming quite a stacked division. Yeah, they need a shtick.
It's filling time, is what it's doing currently. We then got Owens and Zayn coming out for a promo to brag about beating the Bloodline and basically say hey, tune in to SmackDown, Bloodline implosion. Great day. Imperium came out and Kevin Owens lost his mind.
He went full Scrappy-Doo.
He did. He lost his mind because we didn't even call you out.
Mm.
There's an unwritten rule. You're supposed to wait until we say your name, then your music hits, and then you come out. You can't just come out here and just start talking. What is going on here? Well, am I the only one who gives an S about the rules?
Which I liked. I found that quite funny.
I thought it was quite funny as well.
I also liked, by the way, Sammy's line about how, Roman, you could have a headline the next 5 WrestleManias. You could be in the Hall of Fame, all this stuff. When you see our faces, we beat you. And I like that. It was because now other people can say that they didn't pin him. They didn't pin him,
but they did
beat him.
Which actually, for Kevin Owens, it's twice now because he also beat him in December.
Yeah,
in the other tag match.
Yeah,
it's amazing how quickly people forget about that.
Well, it was New Year. I was doing other things,
But Imperium were there to basically say that to spin that plate, spin the Matt Riddle plate, essentially what they were there to do. In kind of in the same way that earlier in the night when Judgment Day brought up the fact that they pinned the tag champions, they were spinning that plate, which brings me to. This is a good way of doing what I was talking about the other week.
Right.
When I was talking about how problem with Night Champions is they're promoting other matches but actively doing other matches in place of it. So they had booked Gunther versus Ali but were promoting Gunther versus Matt Riddle and building a story between Gunther and Matt Riddle. What they're doing here is a completely different kettle of fish, and this works, which is you are setting up Owens and Zayn versus Imperium for the tag titles, but keeping the plate spinning of Judgment Day as future contenders to those tag titles. So it doesn't matter that Owens and Zayn versus Imperium is a predictable outcome because you're spinning this plate over here. You're telling a story of Owens and Zayn versus Imperium while also teasing a future thing here. But you're actively promoting and pushing this story.
Because I suppose this thing over here doesn't actually matter whether or not those two are the tag team champions, so you can still believe that Imperium might win. It's just a case of we did beat them.
We beat the tag champions.
Yeah, we deserve a shot at some point.
Yeah. Well, which is more than Imperium can say because Imperium have lost to them twice.
Yeah, and this frustrates me because I was so excited for Imperium to come over to Raw, and I wanted them to be built as this sort of like incredibly dominant force kind of thing. And I think there are ways that you could have done that and not had them lose all the time, not bore them off. That's what gets on my nerves when you feel like it's just like. And that's what I feel has kind of happened with Imperium a little bit. I wish that they'd been built up as a force, not used as a few guys who can take some pins because they take the pins for Gunther. It doesn't work for me.
And that's it, because like on the show after WrestleMania, Owens and Zayn beat. Oh no, it was the draft. It was the draft that they beat. I was talking about the first time they beat Imperium. So it was like the first show after the draft. Yeah. Owens and Zayn beat Imperium. Yeah. And then a couple of weeks later, they beat them in a 6-man tag as well. But now it's supposed to be like, future contenders. And then like on the show, Imperium beat Alpha Academy. And they're like, Imperium there, gaining some momentum. It's like, but I've seen the champs beat them twice. Like it's hard to. You're gonna do a lot more work, I think, to reheat.
It's just
Imperium.
Consistency. Yeah, it's just consistency.
Well, it's the funny thing with WWE. It's the real like catch-22 they find themselves in, which is that they always tell us wins and losses don't matter, and until they decide that they do, and they need to have wins before you do something.
Yeah.
But it did lead to Imperium versus Alpha Academy. There was some comedy with them calling Giovanni Vinci Baldy.
And that got over with the crowd?
It did get over with the crowd as well, yeah, being like, look, this guy never says anything. What's your opinion on all of this?
Which was a funny little line.
It was funny.
And then when later on during the match, they're on commentary, the crowd start chanting Baldy, apropos of nothing, which really popped Sami Zayn.
And they got interrupted by Alpha Academy with Maxine in Alpha Academy gear. Yeah. Sorry, Maximum Male Models. I guess your group is over now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is they've not even been mentioned anywhere.
They're not even doing the Otis thing anymore.
No.
Like we have just dropped all of that, and it's now just no. Maxine is now with Otis and Chad Gable.
And I don't hate it.
And I don't hate it either.
I like it
because I really like the relationship between Chad and Maxine.
I love it.
I love how it's grown over the last couple of weeks. Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Probably.
Love triangle?
No. Well, kind of, yeah, but they turn on Otis.
I hadn't even thought of that, but that's also very good.
So what I loved about the past couple of weeks is these little bits of storytelling, including but not limited to Maxine and Chad. Maxine ran away last week and provided the direction or whatever that helped Chad win the match, right? And then they had a moment of, we did it, great. Then we have a stretch of time, and then she comes out in full gear in the red with Shoosh, does a kick. When she did the kick on Valhalla, she turned to Chad and went, I did it. I did a thing.
And they were like, thumbs up. It was like, I did it.
Insinuating that Chad had been training Maxine.
Yes.
So I pitch that at some point in the future, they break, because she still comes out arm in arm with Otis. They break away, and they're the sort of unit, and they go on a lovely little heel run together, and it's a love triangle that betrays Otis, and that sets Chad up for a singles run to eventually become world champion and own the belt for 2,000 days.
Because Otis is hugely over as a babyface right now.
Yeah.
There's like the second that this match started, we want Otis, we want Otis, we want Otis. And then when Otis got that hot tag, the place went nuclear for it.
Which is not to say that nobody cares about Chad, because Chad's work is so good. Like, people pop for his work all the time.
So I like the idea of, splitting off Chad and Maxine into their own little thing. I hadn't considered that, but I'd been thinking, I was like, oh, maybe like a love triangle thing of like, she is clearly with Otis, but Chad is being like, oh, actually, no, it turns out you're hot and I fancy you.
I'm seeing... and then she starts going out with a guy whose literal name is Chad. She starts going out with a Chad. That's so funny. I'm seeing Trish and Christian. You know what I mean? I'm seeing that kind of heel duo.
Yeah,
I like it. I want it.
But yeah, that was one of the fun spots of this match. Was they were having this match, and Valhalla appears, and she starts like scaring down Maxine, but she like ducks a Valhalla attack, and then gives her this kick and sort of like rocks Valhalla a little bit. Turns around to Chad and was like, Chad, I kicked it. And Chad was like, yeah, you did. And then Valhalla stands up and Maxine was like, oh, and I made a mistake.
Run.
And off she runs. They sort of like, Scooby-Doo themselves away. And it was very entertaining.
This is delightful lower mid-card stuff.
But it wasn't a distraction finish for Imperium. Imperium won this match clean as a whistle. They outsmarted the baby faces here, because Otis tagged in. He did his caterpillar and stuff, tagged him back in Chad Gable. They went to do their finish, but they low-bridged Otis, so he went out and hit the Imperium bomb for the win. So it's a clean win for Imperium to set them up as contenders for the tag titles, even though I've seen the champions pin them twice.
And that Imperium bomb, though, is just...
It's good, isn't it, mate?
So basically what I'm saying is give me Imperium winning a load of matches over the next couple of weeks and then have a tag team match. Yep. Make them win. Make them win.
I enjoyed that anyway. We had Kathy Kelly interviewing Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi,
which was lovely.
Damage Control walked in immediately and said that they're dedicating this match to Dakota Kai, and Raquel said, look, we've already beaten you. Oh, God, we've got to be beating you. I'm so bored of beating you. And tonight, we'll win the tag titles. They didn't, but we got a video package for Candice LeRae in all of this.
Awful! Hated it! Missed it first time.
I thought you might have hated this.
Oh, so cringe, Grandad. Oh, I didn't like it. Oh, so that's a joke that comes from my friends and I, and the idea that someday, like, you show your grandchildren the things that you did for work, and your grandkids go, "It's a bit cringe, Granddad." So that came out of my head. I hated every single second of this.
Tell me why.
Because it was just like it was like a trailer for something on CITV. It was like kids show. I'm Candice LeRae, who's really good.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I just like fairies, and I think dreams come true. And it was supposed to be Babyface, right?
She wears fairy wings because she believes that fairy tales are
real.
True.
This was
look at the dream I'm living.
Tell me this is
what
supposed to be.
What dream are you living? You never win on TV.
Barely. Sometimes they're on TV. Tell me that this is a heel promo. I'm begging you. I'm begging you that we get 3 weeks of this and it turns out she's a really patronizing, evil person. Because if this is all supposed to be babyface, I just cannot even.
No, I think this was very much a babyface.
So cringe.
Do you know what this needed to be? A video package for The Way.
Yeah.
Because, like, where The Way been? Where that once...
Did you hear a rumor that Tommaso Ciampa was in the building?
It was in Albany, yeah. That was a report that Tommaso Ciampa was backstage last night. But yeah, like, we had that one segment with The Way, like with Indy Hartwell being like, oh yeah, by the way, we're a faction now. And being like, cool, yeah, he's coming. 4 weeks later, nothing.
I respect you for doing...
There's 3 hours of telly.
That's a lot of telly. I respect you for doing characters. I respect you for trying to create characters and do the character work. I don't respect you for the character work you've done. Please stop it.
We could have filmed some backstage segments. We could have done some skits like they did on NXT at the house and stuff. But like, Indy's injured, so you can't do much with her. I think Johnny's well. He was in that battle royal. No one remembers he was
turning around and she had little wings on. And she was going, I've got wings. Hated it.
I don't think don't think this was great.
Awful!
It wasn't great. And also, if you're doing The Way, just do The Way.
Just do it!
Just do some videos with them. Because we've had a lot of weeks now since the drafts, but we're not like Von Wagner, like, you know, what's Apollo Crews, like, what's going on?
Can't wait
with
to
these
see
lads?
Apollo Crews debut on Raw.
Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi took on Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, who took on Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville, who took on Damage Control for the vacant women's tag team titles. Ronda and Shayna were so excited for Street Fighter 6 that they came out dressed as Ryu and Ken. Shout out for my video game fans in the chat. The sort of big thing they were trying to push here was the Ronda Rousey Raquel Rodriguez stare down. That really makes me feel that, well, I mean, which is what they were setting up afterwards, that Ronda and Shayna have won the tag titles. Once Liv is better, we're going to do Raquel and Liv going back, like trying to win back their tag titles that they never really lost. Ronda won by tapping out Shotzi. And Corey Graves said, forecast calls for internet tears tonight.
I found that kind of funny. This was my example of go away heat that we were talking about earlier on, which was
the Ronda stuff.
A lot of Ronda reaction was incredibly negative. And one of the thoughts I had when they came out to the ring was, God, imagine thinking when Ronda Rousey debuted in that first run of that year that at some point she'd be in a mid-card four-way for a vacant title, including Raquel Rodriguez and her third partner of the year. Like, what a come down. However, to be completely honest with you, I enjoyed this match.
I thought it was a very good match.
And I enjoyed especially the closing sort of sequence of about 4 minutes or so, where everybody hit something, everyone got something cool. I enjoyed Bayley's elbow drop. I thought Ronda's takedown on Raquel when she's on her shoulders all the way to the mat was so nice. I wanted to see more of that kind of wrestling, please. I thought anything Io Sky did was just intense and obscene, and I love her. I think Io Sky is the best. And I especially liked the Karens. I especially liked the moment where I thought the Karens were going to win the belts, because they kind of tagged in out of nowhere, threw Ronda Rousey into the post, smacked her head into the post, which got an audible gasp from the crowd. And it looked like maybe they were going to take this opportunity and win it. And I wouldn't have been mad at it.
I bought into the Karens winning.
Yeah, I did. And then so ultimately also loved the moment where Shotzi goes for a lovely move and Rousey just catches her in an armbar.
She went for her her senton from the top, and Rousey catched her in the arm, caught her in the armbar for the
and it
win.
Was so smooth and so clean. And I've seen a few matches this week on various shows that haven't been that. I think of the Adam Cole Jericho match where there was a lot of open space, a lot of things telegraphed, and they didn't quite work out on time. The timing was just off. I think of there was a match I've watched this week from GCW Lifestyle where there was a lot of I'm going for a move, I've slipped. I'm going for a move, I've slipped. And I think what was really nice was seeing everything in this match work the way it was supposed to. The selling was tight, the action was tight, and that closing sequence was really, really good. So if we have a nice, decent run, because Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are good wrestlers.
And they were destined to win the tag titles. They won the showcase at WrestleMania. And essentially, we were just waiting for them to come back and win the tag titles from Raquel and Liv anyway, because they were always destined to be winning the tag titles.
They won the showcase even though they didn't really show up in the showcase because
Ronda was injured, basically. And then I think Shayna also got a little bit hurt in that match. So we then had to sort of delay that. And then Liv gets injured and Dakota Kai gets injured as well. So the belt sort of fell into this limbo pattern. But now they're on Ronda and Shayna. My only thing I could possibly say, if they're not on the shows a lot, which they might not be because I don't know what Ronda's schedule is looking like, I think that could hurt the women's tag titles in some way. They do need something.
My argument against that is it's kind of impossible to hurt the tag titles anymore.
That's a good point.
And I think that maybe giving them again, something that I love about NXT is my ability to just tune into an NXT show and see some damn good wrestling and go away and not really care. And I wonder whether or not just giving us some good matches with these belts makes the belts feel worthy. Like, it doesn't have to be storylines the whole time. the promo that they cut afterwards, I thought was broadly fine until Ronda made a D's nuts joke.
A D's nuts joke.
I was like, they kind of make like, we don't really care about what the fans think, and you know what? We're here to win stuff. We belts like, and it was a good promo. And then she said D's nuts. So like, just maybe if you stop Ronda being Ronda for a second, and just let her be Ronda Rousey.
How do we un-Ronda this?
Yeah, make her Ronda Rousey again. Just have a look a bit, because Shayna's a good promo. Have them just batter people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad we called up Katana Chance and the other one because they're a great deal.
No, because they like to party.
I actually would really like to see Ronda and Shayna, as now the tag champions can float between both shows, go to SmackDown and just destroy Ela Dawn and Alba Fire and win the NXT ones and just merge the belts together.
Yeah, I'd like to see them merge the belts, but I'd like to see them have a match with it.
Well, also,
because I bet they go, because they're both Scottish and we're going to be in London.
That's what I was about to say. You do that match at Money in the Bank, the unification match,
and make it a good one. Kaylee Ray and Ronda Rousey. Are you joking?
Because the crowd will be so behind Kaylee Ray and Isla Dawn to retain and win the tag titles that Ronda and Shayna just battering them and winning will be even sweeter.
To counter your point from earlier about whether or not Ronda's schedule allows for time on the roster, a month isn't too bad.
Not at all.
Have them have the match and have them win.
And as I said, like if she's on TV every week, then like my point is completely irrelevant.
I'm thinking have Isla and Alba win in Money in the Bank. If you and that
no, I think we're setting up for Liv and Raquel to win the title.
Them back. Sure, back. But I know I imagine a star-making performance that you could get at Money in the Bank. I want that. Okay, book it.
We got a video package of Rollins winning the World Heavyweight Championship, and then we got Dolph Ziggler versus JD McDonagh, which apparently was supposed to take place last week before it got cancelled at the last minute. It was quite heatless, and the referee called the match off with a double countout, that was the thing that did get heat from the crowd. But I will say that JD's beatdown of Dolph afterwards did get a little bit of heat from the audience.
It was a double countout loss, which is sort of a nothing thing when they haven't even really started the match.
But it was like JD wasn't looking to win. Like this was very much like, and I quite like that from JD. It was like, well, I don't even care about beating you. Like I just wanted to embarrass you.
It's just giving us a character. You know, it's early days. It's better than squashes. You know, it's giving us an element of brutality.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was uneventful, but not the worst thing by a country mile.
So Cody came out for his promo, said that he lost at Night of Champions due to ref stoppage. But hey, Brock, are you satisfied with this being done? Because you couldn't tap me out. And he lays out an open challenge for Brock Lesnar. Let's finish this. I've got one win. You've got one win. Let's have a match. I don't care where it is. It could be any time, any date. And he lists off, like, here are my upcoming appearances. Here are the shows that I'm doing coming up. I'll be at all of those. If you want to face me at any of those shows, be my guest. I really want to fight you with my broken arm and everything. And he talked about how like you were beast enough to end the Undertaker streak, but you weren't man enough to make Cody Rhodes tap out. I was like, no, but he did make you pass out from pain, which is basically the same thing. And my kind of point I made earlier was like, this felt like Cody was doing nothing in the same way that he wasn't really promoting the World Heavyweight Championship either.
But was still involved.
Yes, and he was then taken out by Brock Lesnar. So like there is every chance that he has a qualifying match, but it's taken out by Brock Lesnar, which I thought might happen.
Yeah,
or he's in the ladder match, but it's taken out by Brock Lesnar. Or something along those lines. But yeah, apparently, like Dave Meltzer was saying on Wrestling Observer Radio that like that's the direction here. It's Cody versus Brock, whether that happens at Money in the Bank or it happens at SummerSlam. But it's not like there's no conversations about Cody being involved in the world title picture currently.
The other thing that of course, Money in the Bank you can go for Roman, so it's not necessarily world title if Cody were to be in that match, but. The other thing I think Meltzer said was that Brock doesn't take 2 losses in a row, so it was sort of inevitable this was going to end up in a 3-way, a rubber match. I saw a lot of the reaction to Cody and Brock at Night of Champions. It's quite interesting because I think a lot of people were like, I personally was fine with it. I am a Cody stan, guilty as charged, and I saw people kind of. My response to it was like, he's passed out from the pain. He's given it a go.
He never gave
up. And he's just so good. He's just so good.
He's great.
What then the other side of that was this is the kind of stuff that got Cody in trouble in AEW with the fans because it was this relentless desperation for, being the most babyface of all babyface, right? Which I do understand as a criticism. And I think it would be a crying shame if WWE went too far with that before taking advantage of Cody's star status and giving him the belt. So I'm just hoping that we're a little bit careful and a little bit cautious with the direction we take Cody in to not make him turn by accident.
Yeah, I mean, I saw someone leave a comment. I might have been on the WrestleTalk news channel, or it might have been here on the podcast channel, but it's something I did agree with. Like, this was a promo to me that felt like he has taken himself out of the world title picture, just like he did in AEW. It was like, and I'm now on my own little separate. I'm in Codyverse.
Right.
This felt like a Codyverse promo of just like, here I'm in my little bubble over here, and I'm not interacting with anything else that's going on. So I'm not involved in the World Heavyweight Championship picture. I'm not involved in Money in the Bank. I'm only involved in my little island project with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know because, but I just thought it was very interesting that Matt Riddle, which was the next segment here, was promoting specifically. I have got a Money in the Bank qualifier in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
But Cody was like, there was no mention of Money in the Bank whatsoever, and I don't think that's not on purpose.
My mileage with this is with Cody is quite far. I'll be honest. I'm saying that to be cautious of it. I'm not at that point yet, and I do think there is something in this promo about saying like, Brock, we're not done. All right, we're not done. And I've got a broken arm. And then in a couple of weeks' time, maybe he does have a qualifying match for Money in the Bank. I think that this wasn't
broken arm.
This is the problem with giving someone a broken arm in storyline. Is that, but it's a problem with giving Cody Rhodes any injury because he can't. He's now had a legitimate injury that he fought through and a pretend injury that he fought through. So you know, but.
Look, I'm a Cody fan.
Let's
like
see.
I said this on last week's show with the whole like too cheesy question. I love it.
Yeah,
like,
I love it.
Like when we were in the Night of Champions, I said this on the podcast review, but I'll repeat it here if anyone didn't get a chance to check that out. But someone in the crowd at our Night of Champions party at one point just turned around with the biggest smile on his face and said, "This is so stupid and I love it."
Yeah, which is,
and that's what
we're there for.
That's what you bring Cody in for. Like
Yeah.
that's the storylines you put Cody in because you do storylines with Cody that are very silly, but I love them.
And again, to try and speak your language for a second, one of the things I loved at Double or Nothing was the Jeff Jarrett match because there was an element of absolute stupidity sports entertainment with Jeff Jarrett.
And that's why I like a Jarrett match. Like, I know people are down on Team TNA like being in the tag title picture, but it's like, but they always put on really fun entertainment, Memphis style nonsense, like loads of interference, guitar shots, and nonsense things that is just really fun to watch.
And it's nice to have all of these things within the umbrella. You know, you have the cinema of the bloodline, and you have the legitimate athletic competition of Bianca and Asuka, and you have Gunther, and you have Cody, and you have all of these things under one roof. I think it still works for me, but I think because it works for me, because I love Cody so much, I don't want the groupthink internet narrative to become we hate Cody. Yeah. And then that bleed into the show. I'm scared of it.
I don't think that will happen. Kathy interviews Matt Riddle backstage, which we spoke about. It said where he's going to be in a Money in the Bank qualifier in a couple of weeks' time. Gunther walks in and says, "Look,
hi Gunther.
I hope that you do win because I hope that you try and cash in on me and I can embarrass you." Cool.
Yeah.
Didn't mind that at all.
Yeah.
Liked it a lot. And then we had the Ronda Rousey Shayna Baszler interview that you spoke about earlier, where they said D's nuts.
It was such a good interview, and then she said D's nuts.
Shinsuke Nakamura qualified for Money in the Bank by beating Bronson Reed. So I thought it was nice. We had like, you know, Matt Riddle talking about a qualifier and then a qualifying match. I thought it was a nice little. I thought the Money in the Bank was a really good driving force through this episode of Raw, and I really liked this match. Yeah. I really liked, you know, the start of this when Nakamura tried to do his sliding German, but Reed was too big and too strong. I like the fact that I felt that the crowd were way into this more than they are usual Bronson Reed matches, which I think
it's working.
The Bronson Reed thing is starting to work. Like we did some pretty naff stuff in January, but then they did the Elimination Chamber in February, and we thought, okay, that's the point. It's like, well, actually, no, this isn't really working again either. But I think just like time and time again.
Oh God, was that was February? That was ages ago.
Exactly, yeah. I remember when people kept saying, it was like, oh, this will be the start of the... Yeah, I told you it wouldn't be. But like, it was... Now I feel like the crowd are getting into his matches. And I think that's good. Like that's because they've had him in storylines and big showcase matches, like the triple threat at Backlash, as opposed to just boring squash matches.
And I'm going to say that's why this is a shame, because I think this is the SmackDown we have forward tonight. Here we have Nakamura and Bronson Reed. I would have been quite happy to see both of these people in this match. And I would actually have preferred to see Bronson Reed in this match coming up, because I think it's a great opportunity for you to see, if you haven't seen NXT stuff. Corey said it on the promo. We have the ability. He thrives in that kind of big money match, that kind of big, high octane, high risk match. So I wish Bronson Reed had won that.
And I just went to the WWE.com website because I was trying to see how many people were in the match, because they had the graphic line.
They usually do 6.
Yeah, which would be 3 from Raw, 3 from SmackDown.
SmackDown.
But I was trying to remember if there was like 8 silhouettes on the graphic.
Yeah,
with 2
could be an 8
in. And I think 4 from Raw, 4 from SmackDown. Yeah. I think because they've only got the 1 men's and 1 women's this year across 2 brands with 4 world titles, both men's and women's, 5 world titles. Then you kind of do need to have 4 from one and 4 from the other.
Yes, I think so.
But yeah, I agree with you as well. Yeah, I saw some people were talking about this with the LA Knight match. It's like, look, I'd love to see Montez Ford in the Money in the Bank match, but no, this does need to be LA Knight.
Yeah.
So it's a shame that it can't be both of them.
Yeah.
And I agree with that here, but I really did enjoy this, and I thought Nakamura's performance was really, really great. He hit 2 Kinshasas and Reed rolled to the outside, and they were like telling the story that he might get counted out. He gets back in and runs straight into another Kinshasa. So 3 Kinshasas to take down Bronson Reed. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Got a recap of Natalia's loss at Night of Champions, and then they announced that she's in a Money in the Bank qualifier next week. Cool. Saxton also interviewed Judgment Day. I've written JD, and I thought it was JD McDonagh. Yes. I was like, God, I don't remember this. But Rhea talked about destroying Natalya. So next week it's Becky versus Sonya and Natty versus Zoe in Money in the Bank qualifiers.
So I want Becky and Zoe in that match, because I want them to have a moment in the match where they cancel each other out.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Or do they cancel each other out in the qualifiers? And that means that it's Sonya and Natty that are going into the Money in the Bank, because I feel that's not great.
I don't want that.
I think you're better off having Becky and Zoe in the match.
Because I don't think Becky should win Money in the Bank. I also don't think Zoe should win Money in the Bank. So having the pair of them be in the match and the opportunity for them to sort of have a clash and continue the story. Again, I've got one eye on the development. That's why I wanted Bronson Reed in it, because he's already on this upward trajectory. The idea that he continues that trajectory. Same thing for Zoe. Great opportunity for her to learn in this kind of scenario, in this kind of high-profile match. I think it should be both of them.
I agree, which actually was the last thing to talk about, because then it's the main event of AJ and Seth Rollins defeating Judgment Day, which I thought was a good match.
A good match.
Yeah, thought it was very good. Yeah. And that was the episode of Raw. As I said at the start, I thought it was quite a pedestrian episode of Raw, but I don't mind that. I thought it was just nice building blocks here, just putting some pieces in place for Money in the Bank and some future storylines. Like, my whole thing was like, it felt like the last few weeks of Raw was like, we just need to get through Night of Champions. We just need to get through Backlash. Then we just need to get through the draft. We just need to get through Night of Champions. Yeah. And we've now done those 3 things. So we now can put some pieces in place for some exciting stuff.
Yeah. I enjoyed the show. I thought it was good. I had a nice time. I don't think it was anything to write home about. I don't think it's something where I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait to watch that segment again. But when there's a difference, I think, between like, it's a slog to get through this show and just did that. Passed quite pleasantly.
When the main event came up, I was like, "Wow, brave to put that in the middle of the show." But no, it was the main event of the 3rd hour. So I thought it did a good job of sort of making this feel like it flew by a little bit.
I would say 3 stars.
It was that's what I gave it, a solid 3 out of 5 show.
And 3 stars is a positive review. Like,
yeah, of course it is.
There are some people who think that's not. No, it is. It is.
We have got a poll. Please do go and vote in that to let us know what you thought of the show. We don't have any Patreon shout outs to do because we've done them all.
Lovely.
But please head on over to Patreon. There's no podcast tomorrow because this is a 5-week month. But next week will be a brand new month where there'll be the mailbag, there'll be After Dark, there'll be WrestleTalk Behind the Scenes, and a brand new episode of WrestleTalk Extra. So go over there right now, because there's like hours upon hours and upon hours of content for just, $5 US. And that includes like 30-odd classic pay-per-view reviews that Ollie Davis and I have done. Like loads of months and months and months and months and months of After Dark where we get drunk and have a few chats and stuff. WrestleTalk Behind the Scenes. There's uncut versions of Survival Series. You get How Adam Would Book early access. Get early access to Monday Night War and the Monday Night War booking podcast. There's a whole host of things on there, including most recently our review of TNA Sacrifice 2009, which had a fatal 4-way of Mick Foley versus Sting versus Kurt Angle versus Jeff Jarrett. And I loved it.
Luke Owen's Happy Hour is the name of that podcast.
A great time with that match. It was so so stupid. And I loved it. But let's get into your remaining Ultra Chats. We've got the result of the poll. Would you like to see Dom win Money in the Bank and the world title? Yes, 63%.
That's a 2/3 majority. The eyes have it.
The eyes have that. Thank you very much. You are all smart.
Quite 2/3. Near enough.
You're near enough. It's as close as damn it. Shaq here says, if Logan wins Money in the Bank, Rollins keeps hold of the championship, cashes in at Royal Rumble and wins the title and makes a big fuss about his challenger, beats Rollins at Elimination Chamber, and the Chamber match sets up Cody versus Logan at WrestleMania 40 to steal the show.
I mean, it's that period of time is the time when that kind of part-timer is in the show. You know, it's the lead up to WrestleMania. They're always there. So that's not a bad time to do it.
Yeah, Cody versus Logan. I don't know, man. Like, someone mentioned this in the chat earlier, which sort of caught my eye. Cody's whole, like, finish the story thing, now that he's on Raw, it is the World Heavyweight Championship. It doesn't really feel like he's finishing that story. Like, if Cody wins the world title, and this is what we talked about when they introduced the new belt, does that feel like a satisfying conclusion? No.
Certainly not now.
It doesn't for me either.
No.
But I also mentioned this on Night of Champions on the podcast review there. I'm so much more interested now in the Bloodline stuff that's not involving Cody. So I'm kind of not that bothered about Cody beating Roman.
Which is why Cody should have beat Roman at the WrestleMania.
Well, I know, but we can't have that now.
I know.
You know, we can't reverse time. And I'm now, like, I'm not bothered about Cody beating Roman. Maybe I
so
will
he can finish the story elsewhere. Like it's Cody's thing with Roman was never about Cody and Roman. Like it wasn't about Roman himself. It was about Cody wanting the belt. Like that's why he was saying he would take off Sami Zayn. Like he was like, I hope you win. He didn't care necessarily who he took it off. That's what's good about that. One of the things I like so much about it was that it was all of the stories converging at once. It was Cody wanted to do a thing, and
so him winning the World Heavyweight Championship wouldn't be him.
No, he wants to go for the one his dad never won, which is WWE. I just don't think he needs to take it off. But it doesn't take it off Gunther.
But it doesn't really feel like Roman
take it
has
off Sami.
It doesn't feel like Roman has that belt either, because he's got the Blue Universal Championship and he's the undisputed Universal Champion. It felt like,
but it's got the big WWE. We all know. We all know. I mean, yes, I agree with what you're saying, but I still think of Roman's belt as the one that matters, unfortunately.
Well, yeah.
And so, you know,
let's
say Sami does win it, and then Cody can take it off Sami at WrestleMania. I don't know. I'm still into it.
Noah says, you know that feeling when your favorite wrestler wins, you disregard all the bad booking and embrace the magic of wrestling? That was me with Nakamura today. I'm massively invested in his redemption and jumped off my seat when he won. One step closer.
Yeah.
Ket says, I think it's safe to say that the draft was done for a short-term ratings bump. Just look at the last one and the one before that. Why can't they just stick to a hard brand split? It's so confusing to me. Vince will be Vince, I guess.
There was reports of him being more involved on a remote basis, which I quite like the idea of Triple H being like, sorry, that message didn't come through. I didn't hear that.
Sorry.
That would explain why a lot of what I have perceived from the past few weeks and months of booking is we have a compromised show. We have a show that Triple H is writing with a few concessions.
Yeah,
you know,
I think that's fair.
I
would agree.
Just consistency is all I'm after in my life.
I would agree with you on that. I like, you know, the draft thing. I sort of made fun of myself on the Night of Champions review, being like I'm the only one around here who keeps saying, well, you can't do that because of the draft.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, well, Cody cashed in on Roman. I was like, but they're on different brands. And it's like, well, you can do this, but they're on different brands.
Doesn't matter.
That's it. And then I was like, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
And I'm like, well, why do we do this then? Like,
because
why do we bother having the draft and the brand split if 3 weeks later it's like, we don't care.
Ratings bump.
Yeah,
that's why they had it around it.
As Ket said, then it's just a ratings bump.
And I even think that like you win the Money in the Bank and you can take it on the opposing brand. I just think that like that's, you know, just be smart, just do it.
But I said this earlier. I was like, but does that mean Cody then moves across to SmackDown? Because then you've got
that's how I would do it.
But then you got a Raw without Cody Rhodes.
Okay, so you build up your other stuff. But the problem is that's not how they're thinking.
No,
you know?
Of course it's not.
So,
John here. You know what? F it. Give Dom Money in the Bank and give him the world title. Let him cash in on Raw. When was the last time we had a major world title change on that show? Probably when Big E.
Big E cashing on Raw?
Yeah, Big E cashing on Raw.
That'll be it.
And have Dom claim that he's the greatest Latino wrestler of all time. That's a delightful sweater, Dan.
Thanks very much. Tesco.
John Wick 1GM says Miz won the WWE title twice. Why can't Dom? Plus, I love complete opposite in both companies, where MJF gets the most heat and can wrestle, Dom gets all the heat and can't. Timothy said, if Rhea does win Money in the Bank and Solo is in the match, then I may finally get my most anticipated match in WWE right now, Rhea versus Solo. Remember the stare downs in the Judgment Day Bloodline segments? I'm begging for that match. Thanks for all you do, Jam. That's Jam.
I would like to see it.
We have a lost username here. Please do let our moderators know. It's a Streamlabs issue. It says, I don't have high hopes for Cody in the long run. I feel like the cheesy stories and the overbooking will eventually ruin him like it did before. If he's going to go the Cena route, we hated and booed Cena for a reason. It's starting to seem the same to me.
That reason was that Cena's matches weren't very good.
That's what I was going to say. I think one of the reasons why Cena got so heavily booed is because the crowd looked at him and said, like, he ain't the guy. And that guy is beating all of our faves. And Cody isn't doing that at the moment because Cody does feel like the guy and Cody doesn't have the worst worked punches in all of professional wrestling and is having good matches and isn't pulling goofy facial expressions. He does his little stompy feet, but he is like, if he puts on a submission move, it actually looks like it does. I don't think like Cena's not just the Super Cena that people got sick of. It was also the Super Cena matches sucked.
The counter to my counter is Bianca can also wrestle, and she was having a little bit of that, which is why I think
one night in Puerto Rico,
it wasn't one night. People were starting to get.
I will say, in our Night of Champions watch party, that audience there did not want to see Bianca win. It was amazing. There's like every single person there did not want to see Bianca win.
This is a personal plea to you all from me. Please don't let this happen to Cody. We know Cody. We like Cody. Cody is really, really good. Please let's not punish Cody for bad decisions by a man with a pencil mustache. Please, let's keep behind Cody. Let's be there to support him and allow him to finish his story, whether it be against Roman Reigns, whether it be against Gunther, whether it be against Sami Zayn, whether he beats LA Knight or Dominik Mysterio for the WWE Blue Universal Championship because it's got the big W on it and that's the one his dad never won at WrestleMania 40. Please, let's not let Cody get booed. I'm begging you, from me to you, just this is all I want for Christmas, okay? Let's keep him going.
We mentioned a lot the Night of Champions party, and if you saw what happened at the Night of Champions party, you saw what a fun atmosphere it was, and you thought, I'd like to be a part of that. I hope they do another one. Well, we are.
Oh!
We are doing another watch-along party for Money in the Bank at the Long Arm Pub and Brewery in Shoreditch. Tickets go on sale this Friday. Friday at 1 p.m. Tickets will be going on sale for that. And the people that are in attendance that signed up will be getting 24-hour early access on those tickets. So you want to make sure you get those tickets fast when they go on sale this Friday at 1 p.m.
Let me tell you this. The food, delicious.
Oh, it was, wasn't it?
So good.
Oh, man.
So good. The atmosphere, electric. It was a great time to a man and a woman and everyone in between. It was such a good energy, such a great way to watch the show, to the point where I was like, how good was that show? Do I need to go back and watch the show again to make sure? It was actually quite good.
It was a very good show.
It was a very good show. All made all the better by being with a group full of people having the best time. Just you know what? We're all a bunch of dorks. Yeah. It's great to be dorks together.
Yeah, come be dorks along with us. It's a great time. Charles Berg says, an idea for Cody's character/adversity. He continues to have his limbs broken until he's got 2 broken arms and legs, but his spirit isn't broken. He sets up an elaborate rig that will hold him up by strings, which Brandy will operate, and he continues to wrestle. Akash, if Dom is to win Money in the Bank, then I feel he should win it by doing a repeat of Ellsworth and Carmella in 2017. Same with Rhea, maybe getting a riptide on someone who's about to win, getting the briefcase while Dom's completely out of it. That's like the 3rd or 4th person who said that, and I love the idea.
It's a fun visual.
Will Campbell says, hi guys, I'm not sure what it is about Cody and his promos, but there's always some aspect of them that manages to pop me. You weren't man enough to get me to tap out. Got a big kafor in a good way. Cody Terminator Moody says, not sure if my last Ultra Chat went through, but I'll try again anyway. Don't want to retype it here, but I tagged you in a post on Twitter of my fantasy booking of Roman versus the Usos at SummerSlam. Yes, I know there's more logical booking, but have a good day. Thank you very much, Cody, for sending that across. I will have a read of that afterwards. Duo XM says, sorry for a not wrestling related Ultra Chat. I just watched the latest Patreon Clock Tower game, and I wanted to say, I see you, Dan.
It was a good one.
I was not on the most recent one because that was the one where we played with Ivan from the Traitors.
Right.
So there's the new one.
There was another one. I don't know which one has gone out on the Patreon. I'm assuming it is the one with Cleopatra. There's a homebrew.
That means I've got something to watch this evening. Oh, I'm so excited because me and my wife are like, we need like some. My wife and I need some comfort viewing tonight.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going to do.
I'm biased. It's a good one.
It's a good one? Excellent. I cannot wait. Cody, I have got your... I've accidentally added that tweet to my bookmarks.
Well, you know.
So I wonder if that's actually a bit of new Twitter functionality there. Because I clicked the link and it automatically added it to my bookmarks.
Interesting.
But yes, I'll have a read of that. Thank you very much. And Bubba here says, I have an interview tomorrow for a job to do with my degree. So at last, so sharing the love with WrestleTalk, who helped me so much through my university years. Well, best of luck to you. Here's my big bit of advice for interviews. If the interviewer says, how do you handle under pressure? You respond to them terribly, but I do a very good Bohemian Rhapsody.
Nice. Yeah. Here's my advice. Don't do this. Don't. Let them hire you and then reveal your sense of humor.
And if that doesn't work, if you tell that joke and it goes down, just say like, yeah, YouTuber told me to say that.
And then they'll be like, oh, we get it.
We get it. Yeah. Or leave the room and go, girl power.
Girl power.
Girl power. Right, well, that's everything. We're going to end the poll and see what you thought of this episode of Raw. Very split here by the looks of things, with Mid winning out, scoring 48%, with 45 giving it a thumbs up, only 5% thumbs down. That is a heavily positive thumbs up show.
Yeah.
Very heavily positive. But
we like to see that.
But thank you all so much for all of your generous Ultra Chats. Thank you so much for your generous time as well. Please do press the subscribe button to this channel, because we'll be going live again on Thursday with the AEW Dynamite review. And then it's all the usual good stuff on Saturday with SmackDown, as we are gearing up to adding in our fourth show of the week, because we'll be doing live Collision reviews every Monday from mid-June.
Mondays.
Yes, we're reviewing them on Mondays.
Nice.
Yes, I ain't working Sundays. If we work Sunday, we basically sat there and we were looking. I was like, God, if two of us have to work Sundays, that just messes up everything else that we have to try and do in a week. So scrap that idea. Let's not review it on Sunday. We'll just review it on Monday. We'll do it on Mondays instead. So please do subscribe, because we'll be adding Collision reviews to this channel. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time. I've been Luke Owen, DAD. That has been the Professor Dan Layton. Jam that jam.